Hi, I'm Shamus from Outdoors Inspiration. I'm off for a wild camp today with Petra, my German Shepherd, and Angus, my son. We're heading over Southern Dartmoor into some more boggy terrain. We're going to camp tonight, hopefully, at the infamous Fox Tor above the Fox Tor Mires, which is of Baskerville legend. It was the inspiration to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle when he wrote The Hound of the Baskervilles, and it turned out to be the Grimpen Mire, the great Grimpen Mire. So we'll have a little look at that. Anyway, on the way, we're going to take in the summit of Snowdon, believe it or not. Come with us, let's have a look. That was hard work. It's a lot warmer today than I thought it was going to be. There's a stiff easterly breeze. I was anticipating that wind would be quite cold, but it isn't. I've warmed up considerably. So here we are, we're on Pupa's Hill. Pupa's. There's a prehistoric cairn on the top of here. We'll take a little look at that. Quite blowy up here today. That's a prehistoric burial cairn from the 2nd millennium BC, 4,000 years ago. Somebody was buried here. I always thought that Pupa's Hill was just a collection of rock here, but I've got a funny feeling that some of this might well have been curbstones on the outer side of the burial cairn. So there we are at the summit of Snowdon. Not quite railways and cafes like they have in the one in Wales, but it's Dartmoor's very own Snowdon. It's a bit of a barren, featureless wasteland up here.
Which one was named first, Dad?
What?
Which one was named first?
Out of which?
The Welsh one and the Dartmoor one.
Which one came first, the Dartmoor or the Welsh? The Dartmoor one came first because in Wales it's not called Snowdon, it's Irwytha in Welsh language, just to satisfy the Welsh nationalists. Cymru am byth. Right, onwards and upwards. I don't know what that is in Welsh. So we're at the top of Riders Hill now. That's the highest point on Southern Dartmoor at 515 metres. There's a number of boundary stones up here. Well, one's an Ordnance Survey triangulation point, or trig point, and a couple of boundary stones. So this one that Petra is stood next to is Petra's bound stone. And I'm not making that up, it's called Petra's Boundstone. There's a B here inscribed in the rock for Buckfastleigh or Buckfast, I'm not sure which, I think it's Buckfastleigh. And on Petra on the Mount, which is this stone here, there's an H inscribed for Holm Moor. So there we go, Petra, 2 stones in your honour. Go on in, Petra. So this is the cross at a place called Mount Misery, high above where the River Swincombe starts. We're heading to Fox Tor, which is just in there. I don't know why it's called Mount Misery, but what I do know is that there's a farm below here. Sorry, it's an abandoned farm, it's a ruin now. I remember reading an extract from a letter written from the farmer who had the tenancy there many, many years ago, writing to the landlord and begging him to release him from his tenancy because it was such a miserable existence out here and that his children were horribly affected by the whole situation. I think he eventually moved out of here and into either Tor Royal or Princetown. And Princetown is just over there on that below that next hill there. Good girl. Good girl. Looks lovely, doesn't it? To all intents and purposes, Dartmoor rivers and streams are very, very clean. But there are things that lurk in there at a microbial or bacterial level that could be harmful. I've had cryptosporidium. Another friend of mine had Weil's disease or leptospirosis. So it's important to consider filtering, boiling or treating the water in some way before you consume it. Remains of a tinner's hut here, beehive shelter of some sort. This whole landscape was once heavily tinned, open cast tin mining, using the waterways to scour the landscape to get the tin from it, to extract it and clean it, and then power the pumps that would grind it and the furnaces that would get it hotter to help them extract it as well. Water was a very important resource on Dartmoor for the tinners. And the area below here is Fox Tor Mire, and it's what inspired Arthur Conan Doyle when he wrote The Hound of the Baskervilles and wrote of the great Grimpen Mire. This is the place that he was referring to, a place that would swallow a pony whole. Angus, we're going across the Fox Tor Mires tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
Truth is, a few years back, middle of the winter, pouring with rain, been wet all week and a really wet season. I went with a friend of mine, Neil, out into the middle of the mire, and we went to find the deepest parts. I mean, quite clearly there are parts where it's more water than solid, but you call that a pool, don't you? And we went out with the sole intention to see whether we could lose one or the other of us in the mire. We couldn't. We were quite all right. It's just very uncomfortable for walking on if you're disappearing up to your knees in bog. Onwards and upwards. Go on in, Petra. Now, having said that, last week the Dartmoor Rescue Group were called to the aid of a cyclist who was stuck down here. Now, I spent 20 years as a search and rescue professional, so I know what it's like for the person on the receiving end. Whatever your emergency is, you feel it's a real emergency to you and it could be life-threatening. It may be actual or feels like it, whatever it is, it's very, very real. However, why a cyclist was in the middle of Fox Tor Mire or even on the edge of Fox Tor Mire, I'm not sure. It's not permitted to ride mountain bikes across open country on Dartmoor, only on the permitted byways and cycleways. Anyway, just thought I'd get that off my chest. And I hasten to add, I wish the cyclist well. I hope he's okay. This great cut out of the landscape, it's what we call a girt. This is the Fox Tor girt. It's where tinners have run and coursed water down through to extract the tin and wash the tin out from the landscape. I'll be there in a minute, Gus. I was just supervising you going up it. That which doesn't kill us only makes us stronger. 4 points of contact now. Well, I'll tell you what, it's not the steepest thing I've ever climbed in my life, but you wouldn't want to fall down it. Well done, Angus. Pass that test. Way up. Good girl. Good girl, the Hound of the basket meals. Wait, is it? No, Petra, leave it. Get back. Get back. Lie down. So this is the Hilleberg Soulo. I don't know how you pronounce it, I just know the noise it makes when it ruffles in the wind. And saying that, I've seen stuff online about this tent and people having loose panels and flapping in the breeze. There's none of that with this one. I got this from Nick at Taunton Leisure. What a gentleman, thank you for sorting me out. It's an absolute bomb shelter of a tent, and I don't mean that literally, but it's very, very solid, and it's not as roomy as the Acto. You can see that from the floor plan. The Hilleberg Acto has a lot more space, but because of the ability to sit up in this and the three self-supporting pole structures here, it's a very sturdy tent indeed. I'm hoping that Petra will be able to sleep out in the vestibule. If not, there's space beside me and she can get in there, but we'll see how it goes in the night. We'll report back. Watch this space. Look at that one going, even in a breeze. MSR Pocket Rocket 2. Oh, what's that, Petra? Remind everybody about our great giveaway. Great idea. Aha, right, okay. Just whilst I've got the Pocket Rocket 2 out, I have another one, brand new, boxed up and ready to go as a giveaway. If you want to know how to win it, just have a look in the description below. I'll put a link to a video. I'm having a draw at the end of the month for one lucky winner, and it could be you, but you have to be in it to win it. Right, back to cooking supper, I think. Chicken korma with rice. You seen this? Oh, not for dogs though. It says so on the packet. Look, not for dogs. Well, maybe a bit is later. What's this, Pet? Saying that. What you got? Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. What's that then? Nobody gets to come near our camp without the alarm bells being sounded. There's somebody downwind of us here. You have a look over there, Angus. Anyway, supper time. Perfect. Oh, chicken korma with rice. Something always worthwhile bearing in mind if you hear strange bumps, squeaks, knocks in the night while camping. Take comfort in the fact that you are probably the nastiest thing out there. I take comfort in the fact that me with a German Shepherd, armed with this spork, am definitely the nastiest thing out here. There's nothing going to harm you. You're not going to get, unless you get trampled on by a sheep or something. Foxes and badgers and things are going to leave you alone. The foxes may come and try and rob you, and in which case they'll run off with things. It has been known, but it's a fairly scarce occurrence, and they don't mean any harm. It's wildlife at the end of the day. They were here first, weren't they? They're like some fairy lights on your tent, is there? I think Petra's almost embarrassed to be there. Yeah, with the tent open right up, I mean, you could sit in here, Petra and I could have a game of cards in here. If only she had opposable thumbs, that'd be quite useful, wouldn't it? So, I'm not even sure how this happened. What are you doing in there? Cozy, to say the least. Night, Gus.
Night, Dad.
So, that was a beautiful sunrise this morning, but the mornings are taking their time to come out now, so autumn's definitely on its way. We're going to head down here, right onto the edge of the Fox Tor Mires to see Childe's Tomb. I'll tell you the story of Childe the Hunter when we get there. Petra, come on. So this is Childe's Tomb. Not a child, but Childe the Hunter. Of course, it is only a legend, but the way that the story goes is that Childe was a baron who owned lands in the area. He was out hunting one day and the weather turned foul and he had to take shelter at this very spot. Snow came in, drifted over him, and it went days and days hoping that somebody would come and rescue him. Eventually, lying by his poor horse who was suffering in the cold, he slew the horse, cut it open so that he might survive a few moments longer, hiding inside the carcass of the horse where the last embers of its warmth might keep him alive for moments longer, in the hope that somebody would find him. Alas, they didn't, and Childe perished in the snow, lying in the carcass of his horse. When the snow had cleared and the storm had abated, some travellers found his body lying on this spot, and they went out to tell the monks at the abbey in Tavistock and Plymstock. Now, Childe's will had said wherever his body had been taken to and lain, that abbey would take all of his lands and all of his wealth. So there was a great race from the abbey of Plymstock and from Tavistock to get here first. Tavistock set out to cross the River Tavy. Plymstock came up and set to ambush them on the bridge. But the monks from Tavistock got wind of this and they went by a different route. And they actually claimed the body of Childe, and he's said to be buried today in Tavistock. And they inherited his wealth. Of course, it is only a legend. I've enjoyed our little trek and a bit of a wild camp overnight last night. Don't forget, Thursday nights are our regular outdoors inspiration, outdoor essential nights where we look at equipment and skills. Last week we looked at a couple of budget tents, and we'll have a look and see what we can find to explore in terms of equipment this week. So join us then on Thursday. Right, Angus, we ready to go?
Yep.
Onwards and upwards. Right, we'll have a little look at Nuns Cross Farm, I think, on the way out.